dressed to like march onto the sunken road, but then they go over a hill and they're completely gone.
It's like, who's singing Christmas carols right now? Christmas carols, you say? My friend, it's July.
Why is Billy D. Williams working for the My friend, what could you possibly be talking about?
Just smirking, like winks, and then just walks away. It just like slides off camera.
Like he's a ghost himself.
Yeah.
Welcome to Shadows and Sightings, a paranormal comedy podcast where we talk about all things spooky. I'm Taylor.
I'm Nick.
And today we're going to be talking about the ghosts of Antietam.
Yes.
The anniversary of the battle was just last week.
September 17th.
September 17th. So Nick said, hey, Taylor, why don't we talk about that next week? And I said, you know what, Nick? I would be happy to. Because Antietam was like the battle that got me interested in the Civil War. Remember we went to Antietam in like 5th grade?
Yeah.
Or 6th grade, maybe?
Something like that. Middle school. Yeah.
Well, here's my memory of it. The year was 2002. So that puts us like, I want to say 5th grade.
5th grade. That was the year after, 9/11.
Yeah.
We were in 4th grade.
Yes. So 2002, the movie Gods and Generals came to town.
Not to cut you off, my dad was like obsessed with Gods and Generals, and he was obsessed with
Gettysburg. Yeah.
Which they're connected, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Very loosely, but yes.
Yeah.
But circa 2002, Gods and Generals comes to town. So Antietam battlefield, and I really hope that I'm remembering this right because I was just a kid then, so I might be remembering this entirely wrong. And I can't seem to find anything on it when I like look it up.
Sure.
But I feel like Antietam battlefield actually put down dirt in the roads and like made everything look to scale of 1862. While the movie was being filmed, there was like thousands of reenactors there, and they took us on buses out to watch the reenactments happening while they were filming. Is this ringing a bell to you at all?
Holy shit.
Did I just unlock a core memory for you? I hope I did, because I would be really upset if this isn't a memory that I'm remembering correctly. And I remember, we went, and I had blue spiky hair because that was back in the days where
Pepsi Blue.
It was spiked hair was the cool thing.
Yeah,
and they had just come out with hair gel to spike your hair that turned your hair different colors, not permanently or anything. It was just like the gel made the tips of my hair blue.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, man.
That was
a great time.
It was.
But I remember going out there, and maybe it was like after the movie had been filmed, but I remember literally thousands of reenactors and living history people being there for maybe, for some reason. Maybe it wasn't Gods and Generals, but I know they filmed on Antietam.
Okay, now that you say that, I do remember some instance where we were at a battlefield for something. I remember it being like balls to the wall fucking hot that day.
That would probably check out.
Super hot, yeah. And we had...
Well, I mean, it was September. It would have had to have been on an anniversary. If it wasn't for Gods and Generals, it had to have been on an anniversary.
Maybe, man, I can remember a lot of the field trips that we went on. I remember going to Mount Vernon.
Oh yeah.
I remember.
God, I forgot. I didn't forget, but yeah, we went to Mount Vernon. That's a long way away too.
Yeah, we went to Mount Vernon. I remember us going to the aquarium.
Yeah.
I remember. What else?
We went to some orchard or something, and we turned butter once.
I don't think I was there for that.
Yes, you were. It was an apple orchard, and they made us churn the butter at the end, and they let us take it home with us.
What?
Yeah, you were there. I sat next to you on the bus.
I don't remember churning butter, but okay.
Yeah, dude.
I remember we went to the zoo. We went to the Catoctin Zoo.
I didn't go to that.
Grade.
I didn't go to that.
We went to the Baltimore Zoo one time.
Baltimore has a zoo?
Yeah, the national. So there's like the zoo in D.C.
Yeah.
There's one in Baltimore. And then there's one in Catoctin.
I thought Baltimore just had the aquarium.
I'm pretty sure Baltimore has one.
Maybe
because you got because I know we were looking at a couple of years ago. You have to pay for the Baltimore one, but the DC.
I remember
free.
the aquarium, but I didn't remember going to a zoo.
So you might be right. I don't know. I mean,
either way. We were kids and we went to Antietam for a field trip for one reason or another, but it was very impactful on my life that I was like, this is insane what is happening here. And then I guess we went on a field trip again, another time where nothing was going on. We just took like a tour of the battlefield. And I remember going into the sunken road or bloody lane and just being like, a bloody lane? Like this is the whole road was covered.
This whole
like,
thing was
blood?
just filled.
Yeah. And my little morbid curiosity brain when I was 10, 12 years old was just like, what the hell? How did that happen? And then that, just sparked a love of all things Civil War in my life.
And that checks out because I can't recall the many amount of times where we're just sitting there at lunch and, Taylor would just drop random facts about the Civil War. And he went through this phase of like Robert E. Lee was like the greatest. And I was like, you really like this guy. He's like, he was just a great general. I'm like, yeah, he was a great tactician. Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely he was. So yeah, I always remember that. And whenever I think of like the Civil War, there's two people that come. It's like my dad because he went through that, but then there's Taylor. Like, any Civil War related questions, like, I bet you Taylor knows what it is. Hey,
if he doesn't know, he can find somebody that does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Mr. Priest is another one.
Mr. Priest is awesome.
Yeah, he comes to mind for.
I seen him. I went down there just on like a random because there was a time where I was working at the bank in Boonesboro, and I was like, Antietam's 10 minutes away from here. I just never really go anymore. So one day I got off at the bank at like 1:00 in the afternoon and went down to Antietam. Walked around and here he comes walking out of the visitor center, and I was like, Mr. Priest. And I don't know how he remembered me, but he did. He couldn't remember my name really. I could tell. I was like, oh, it's Taylor. And he's you Cascade, right? Or you can remember where I live, but you don't remember my name. That's fine. But
that's weird. Yeah, your address is 2439.
Yeah, looked exactly the same. Yeah. Like just out there. He walks with a mission. I talked to him for a little bit, and I don't know if he's still doing tours out there. That was like 2018.
Is he still alive?
I hope so.
I would imagine.
Like he's like, I'm friends with him on Facebook, I think so.
Okay.
So I haven't seen anything to state otherwise, but
he always said that he was on the History Channel and stuff, and I haven't found any recordings. Like I believe him when he was like, I
have seen him. I have seen him. It was back in like the 90s.
I'm sure
when
older.
Yeah, it was like right around the time where Ken Burns' Civil War special was starting to really get popular, and there's a guy named Shelby Foote that really kind of brought it into the limelight. He was you see the South when they invaded the North, they were, this very pro-Southern.
Sure.
He really kind of, and then of course Gettysburg, the movie came out, and Gods and Generals and all that stuff, but now I have like modern historians are like, yeah, Shelby Foote's a moron.
Never heard.
He's a dumbass.
I've never heard of the guy, but he sounds.
It's a very niche thing to know. If you know, you know. But
yeah.
But other than that, I mean, we talk about it kind of on the show all the time about the area we live in is just so steeped in Civil War history that it's like you can't get away from the hauntings and the stories. So it's just an easy, accessible thing to learn about.
I'm sure we'll talk about it once a year, as it comes. I mean, like you said, we talk about
really, you could. I mean, at least, you can go 2.5 hours south and hit like every battlefield for the Civil War. Essentially.
Well, yeah, and I'm saying the area that we're in, we have, Gettysburg and Antietam, which were the two big ones.
Right.
But
you have the Battle of Monterey Pass, which is literally right down the street from my house, essentially. And then you have like Battle of Funkstown, Hagerstown, Shepherdstown, Williamsport. It's just like all the big battles had very small battles to go along with it. But so, I mean, and all the small battles also had casualties.
Sure.
And
unfortunately, lots of rich, spooky history.
Yeah. So we're going to dive deep into the Maryland campaign, as it were, in 1862. But before we do that, you guys know we like to do a little bit of a what's happening in the world of haunted things. So, Nick, what do you got this week? Let's go over to our cryptid correspondent, Nick Wallace.
So, as far as cryptid news goes or anything like that, only really semi-interesting thing that I saw, and I really didn't dive too much into it because I kind of take it with a grain of salt, but there was like a semi-recent UFO sighting over a volcano in Mexico
Sick.
that people are talking about as like a triangle, like UFO, and there's lights and stuff. It's like, so there's, if you go on TikTok right now and look it up, there's a bunch of people like debating, like the ins and outs of it and all that. That was kind of cool. I've just been so busy and stuff that I didn't really get it. I literally saw it and I was like,
"Oh, I'm gonna come back to this."
Yeah, and like I kind of like I put it on the back burner.
And you got a call at the end of your workday that.
Oh my god, dude! Like, I was like, I could. It was like it's so poetic how it happened.
Well, other news, there was a Mothman Festival was last weekend.
Oh, nice.
And apparently, I seen on Facebook they drew like a record-breaking crowd. I want to say there was like 35,000 people.
That's cool, but also terrifying for the town at the same time.
Yeah, they said it was like at least 27,000 or something, not including the people that just live there normally. So it was like a huge, huge turnout this year, which is awesome. I love that Mothman's getting the attention that he deserves.
Well, I was telling you, not really like cryptid news per se, but there's a semi-new, if not new show on Netflix called Haunted Hotel for our listeners out there. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend watching it. If you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. But the premise behind it is it's a brother and a sister, and they're running this haunted hotel, what's the Stephen King hotel?
The Shining?
The
Overlook Hotel,
kind of like, it's a big schwanky hotel like that that they're running, but it's like haunted and it's filled with like ghosts, monsters, demons, and things like. And each episode is just about them and their shenanigans, like trying to run this hotel.
I really gotta watch that.
If you don't have anything going on, we can go like watch an episode before you. But Mothman makes an appearance in one of the episodes, and Abaddon is like the best character.
Oh, yeah.
Because I laugh so hard because it goes into his backstory, and like he's possessed like a Puritan child from like the 1600s.
Goddamn Puritans!
I fucking laughed so hard. He was like, because it goes into his backstory of how it happened, and I was cracking up. So yeah, if you guys get a chance, watch it. Haunted Hotel. It's on Netflix.
Hell yeah! And just to preface this episode with there may or may not be an episode next week because, like I mentioned, I think in the previous episode, your boy is going back to Salem to kick off spooky season. Right. So I'll be there next week through Sunday. So kicking off spooky season with the Halloween parade, which I've been wanting to see for like years now. And yeah, so if we get time to record next week, we will definitely do that. But we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that timeline lines up. But otherwise, you ready to get into some Antietam ghosts or talk some more stuff?
Let's do it. So I'm gonna be honest with you. As far as any time we do an episode on ghosts seem to be more in like your wheelhouse of things, which is fine. Like because I'm skeptical when it comes to ghosts. I'm pretty open to the idea that they're real, that they exist. I've had a couple freaky encounters myself that were somewhat supernatural, so that's probably why. But as far as like the ghost lore, there's so much of it, and I don't even know where to begin.
In terms of what? What do you mean?
Okay, so with Antietam, what do we know? We know that it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was the bloodiest single battle in Civil War history.
It was the bloodiest single day in American history.
In American history, okay. Was it like 23,000 casualties?
It was an estimated casualty list of 22,717.
And that includes a combination of
killed, wounded, missing.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of dead bodies in that small of a battlefield. And I'm saying small of a battlefield because I really haven't, other than Gettysburg, I really don't know how to compare it to like the actual size of a battlefield. So to me, Antietam is like this big.
Yeah, it's
people who are listening. I'm making small hand
for the audio
gestures.
listeners out there, which is all of you. Nick is gesturing broadly with his hands.
It's small, whereas like I'm assuming Gettysburg is like this big.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. I mean Antietam. So the thing about Antietam is it was only a 12-hour battle, whereas Gettysburg was 3 days. Okay. So yeah, there's more casualties in Gettysburg, but that's only because, I mean, if they would have fought Antietam 3 times, the armies would have been completely destroyed.
Sure. Okay.
But you're not wrong. The Antietam, if you go out there, is generally kind of small. I mean,
it doesn't seem huge.
It's really not.
Like, I feel like you could drive across the whole battlefield.
You more or less could walk the battlefield in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Whereas like Gettysburg, you could walk the whole battlefield. It would probably take you the whole day to walk Gettysburg, but it's not that big, but just the sheer amount of carnage is just unimaginable.
Okay, so then who are the heavy hitters? Like, who are like the iconic big names when it comes to Antietam?
In terms of what? What do you mean?
The North and the South. So, like when I hear Gettysburg, I think like Little Round Top, Big Round Top.
Okay.
I think of like Chamberlain.
Okay.
And his like charge down the mountain
Gotcha.
or whatever.
Gotcha.
What was like the equivalent of that for Antietam?
For Antietam, I would say the equivalent would be you have your well-known Confederate generals. You have Robert E. Lee there. You have Stonewall Jackson there.
Okay.
For the North, you have George McClellan there. General Meade, who was the commander of the Union Army at Gettysburg, he's there. And, of course, Burnside's there, Ambrose Burnside.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, those are kind of like your main guys. Longstreet's there for the South. Jeb Stuart, cavalry commanders there. So, I mean, this is, for all intents and purposes, we'll kind of set the scene a little bit. I'm not a historian by any stretch of the imagination. So, but I've watched a lot of videos, especially this last week during the anniversary of pretty much all I could handle on the Antietam
Sure.
/ Maryland campaign. So we're just going to kind of dive into the history just a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean, like I could go long-winded on this, but I'm going to try to condense this down into kind of a fraction size of what we're digging into. So the Battle of Antietam happens in September of 1862. Leading up to the battle, you have Robert E. Lee has just been appointed to take command of the Confederate Army.
Newly commissioned to that position.
Yeah, he took over from a General Joe Johnston, like spring of 1862, late or summer of 1862. In that area, they go on to fight a series of battles because George McClellan and the Army of the Potomac, and there was another army called the Army of Virginia. It gets confusing because you have the Army of Northern Virginia, which is the Confederate Army, and then you have Army of Virginia, which is led by another Union general, and then you have the Army of the Potomac led by George McClellan. The reason that Lincoln made two different armies is because McClellan went into the South, and he, amongst historians, is like the biggest dumbass of all time because his army was like 130,000 men strong, as opposed to the Confederate Army of about 60 to 70,000, constantly thought he was outnumbered. He thought the Confederates had 250,000 guys. So he's like, well, I can't do anything. I can't do anything until I get more men. I can't do anything. So he pretty much goes into Virginia to get around Richmond. But one of the Confederate generals who was in command of like the protective forces around Richmond bluff him into thinking that they do have 250,000 men. Like he's painting trees as cannon. He is putting like scarecrows up essentially as Union or Confederate generals because from a distance you can't really tell whether they're real or not.
Yeah.
So he's bluffing them into buying time, and so McClellan just kind of retreats back up to Washington D.C. and he's just sitting there for like 2 or 3 months just waiting for something to happen.
What?
Yeah. So then they get John Pope. I think his name was John Pope to get a different army to go into the Shenandoah Valley to start trying to make something happen essentially. Yeah. And this is around the time that Robert E. Lee takes command and they have a series of battles called the 7 Days Battles. So the South hits, and Stonewall Jackson's pretty much in charge of this to a degree. Hits them in, like 5 different battles, getting the Northern Army out of Virginia. So at this point, the Confederate Army has depleted a lot of their supplies. They've taken a ton of casualties because Robert E. Lee's essential plan was, we just got to get them out of Virginia. We can't have them down here anymore. We got to drive them out. The casualties go up, but, they're winning the battles essentially. They're losing them in casualties, but they're winning them in the fact they're accomplishing their goal of driving them back up north. Mm-hmm. All this to say that this gives Robert E. Lee the idea of like, hey, maybe we should go north, take the battles out of Virginia, see if we can't gain some
territory.
Not really gain territory. It's more like let's gain some troops. Let's gain some sympathizers because there were a lot of Southern sympathizers in Maryland, as you know. Yeah. Maryland was a free state, but a lot of the people still held slaves. Yeah. So you had a lot of Southern sympathizers, mostly down like Baltimore, Eastern Maryland. Yeah. It was like the Southern sympathizers. Yeah. Where Robert E. Lee comes up through, where we are in Western Maryland, was mostly Unionists. Okay. It's where you get the story Barbara Fritchie and going through Frederick, where they were like throwing shit at the Confederates as they walk by. Yeah. So he takes the fight to the north. They're out of supplies. They're out of everything. They're dirty. They're hungry. They're starving. Cross the Potomac River, get into Maryland. That's when McClellan's finally like, okay, well, I guess I got to go. Well, Lincoln's like, no, you get your ass over there.
It's like, what do you mean you guess? Yeah, get your fucking ass out there.
They're invading America. Like, you got to get them out of there. So they get up through Frederick. They get up to South Mountain. Generally, basically splits his army into 3 different parts. It's a huge risk on Robert E. Lee's partaking. So much so because when they cross the Potomac, his once army of 80,000 guys drops to about 40,000 guys. And this is because most of the Southern army is like, I'm only fighting because they're in Virginia. Like, I don't have any interest of going up north and fighting them there. I'm protecting my home, essentially. Not to mention that they're all dirty, tired, and hungry. You know, they've been marching the 7 days battle. I mean, they're going 40, 50 miles, you know, every day almost. So they're just straggling or falling out by the wayside. So he splits his army into 3, but I mean, he's just completely spread out. And McClellan, again, has 130,000 guys on his team to 40,000 for Robert E. Lee. Takes him up through Frederick. This is where the Battle of South Mountain kind of comes in, where you have 3 different gaps that Robert E. Lee is controlling because he knows that his army is so spread out. And the only way to get through, like, the mountains, to get over them is through these gaps. One's at Boonesboro, one's at, like, South Mountain, the Crampton's Gap, Fox's Gap, and Turner's Gap. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and Longstreet have a meeting down near, I want to say it's somewhere right after they forded the Potomac, to kind of have a plan of action, a battle, or a war meeting. Robert E. Lee writes out Special Orders 191, which is basically telling his generals what the plan of attack is, what his movements are going to be in Maryland, what the objectives is, what the code of conduct is while you're in enemy territory, so on and so forth. One of these orders gets wrapped around 3 cigars left at a Confederate campsite where a Union group of soldiers finds it. They camped in the same spots. This battle plan, giving the ultimate cheat code to McClellan, it's literally, imagine you're a head coach of a football team.
Oh, these are all their plays.
Yeah, you were this son of a bitch, this is what every play they're going to run the entire game. McClellan has this to his advantage, and he says, famously, here's a paper in which if I do not whip Bobby Lee, I am willing to go home. Spoiler alert, he does not whip Bobby Lee, and he still gets sent home. So he has these orders, so he starts moving his guys really fast to get to him, to destroy him, So Lee's plan, once he finds out that McClellan has his orders, is like, oh, shit. I got to get my guys back together. We're too far apart. The whole Battle of South Mountain happens because Lee's like, just buy us some time. Jackson's down at Harper's Ferry sieging the town. They accomplish that goal. They have the largest Union or American surrender of any war until I think World War I or World War II. 12,000 Union soldiers surrender in Harper's Ferry because it was a huge garrison of supplies. So Jackson takes Harper's Ferry, hauls his ass up to Antietam. That's where Robert E. Lee's like, okay, we're going to fall back. If we have to cross back over the Potomac, we can kind of do that here. We have the mountains to the front of us. We have the Antietam Creek, so they have to go over these hills, through a creek, back up more hills to get to this really strong defensive position that we have here until I can have the rest of my army converge. September 16th, McClellan literally can roll up on Robert E. Lee, destroy the army of Northern Virginia, and end the war like that.
Right, that in there, yeah.
He does not do that. He waits. He bides his time until he gets more men, which is what his whole problem was. He was, I can't do it. Confederates have way too many guys. Even though he knows that Lee's army is so spread thin, he still thinks they have 250,000 guys.
That's funny. I bet you they were so he's leading these Union soldiers, and his, the people that are reporting to him are probably saying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's you have
pretty
the
much.
battle plans.
Yeah. No. Let's be smart about this.
What part of they have 250,000
allegedly guys? They might have 350,000.
Well, you have the Death Star plans.
Yes, I know that, but
is it credible?
Yeah,
Is it peer reviewed?
Right.
It doesn't fucking matter. You have the goddamn plans.
You know where he is, what he's doing, and how he's doing it. No.
See, I've been through this before.
Yeah. It was said that McClellan really was so slow moving because some historians argue that he had a sort of like PTSD. I forget what battle it was that he was down. I think he was in the Mexican-American War.
Sure.
And he ordered a charge or ordered something to happen, and his people got decimated.
He's slaughtered, yeah.
And apparently that caused some PTSD where now he is afraid to, like, he doesn't want to be responsible for people dying on the battlefield.
Yeah.
You're going to have people die on the battlefield. That's part of the
war.
job. You know?
It's war. Yeah, it's
Robert E. Lee actually says being a general is loving what you have, but being willing to sacrifice the things you love.
Yeah.
So that's why he was such a good general.
Mm.
Anyways, so you get to September 17th. These two armies are facing, you have the Confederacy occupying Sharpsburg and the hills above it. There's heights outside of the town. I wish that I had a map to show you, but if you want to look up a battle map of Antietam, there's ample ones. You can find them on like battlefields.org. That's a great resource. What happens now is McClellan, instead of attacking with his entire force all at one time, sends these troops in piecemeal. So he
breaks
starts
them down into chunks.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he starts at the northern part of the battlefield first. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning on September 17th. Joseph Hooker's guys start coming down the Hagerstown Turnpike, where they're met almost instantly with Confederate cannon fire from Stonewall Jackson on Nicodemus Heights, and he's down by the Dunkard Church, which, you know where the Dunkard Church, what that looks like, I'm assuming, the little white church on the side of the road.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And then they're coming down the Hagerstown Turnpike and on Smoketown Road, which is out of the woods. They kind of converge.
Okay.
And then you have the Confederate forces going north to meet them. So they're coming down through a part of the battlefield that's best described as, it's called Miller's Cornfield. And when I talk about this is like some heavy shit to kind of just put it in perspective. So the Union's coming down through this cornfield, and before they really even know what's happening, one of the generals, I think it was Hooker, like could see glints of light in the cornfield. And what he was seeing were the bayonets from the Confederate soldiers already in the cornfield. So they go in, you can't see anything. Like you're in stalks of corn that are 7 feet tall. And the next thing you know, there's just an explosion of musketry fire, and dudes are just dropping where they stood, like in rows, perfect rows. The corn's getting cut down. You got artillery fire coming in. Mm-hmm. The Union's coming back. They launch a counterattack. The Confederates are getting mowed down. They send in more guys to take the Union out. They drive them back just to then start getting hit with more artillery fire. The Union's counterattacks again, comes back through. They said by the end of this fight, like the corn had been mowed down to like the stalks, like just barely above the top of the grass or the dirt. And just, I think it was 5,000 or 6,000 guys were dead in this cornfield within the first hour of fighting. That's like insane. Just the pure amount of carnage. Yeah. I just cannot even fathom. Right. This is a time, again, like Civil War tactics were just very strange, but that's all they had at the time. You had muskets, rifles, this kind of stuff. And the way it used to be was when you had muskets, you were good of a shot from like 75 yards away. Now you have rifles that are good from 200 yards or 300, 400 yards away, depending on the shot. Mm-hmm. But they're still just getting right up next to each other and just unloading on each other. One of the Union generals said that this withering fire from the Confederates was just melting these guys away, his lines away like wax. Mm-hmm. They were just getting absolutely decimated. So while this is going on, like I said, because George McClellan's only sending in some of his guys at one time, this gives Robert E. Lee time to bring up more guys from the southern end of the field up to help support him. So they counterattack again. It just kind of swings like a door a bunch of times. Eventually, the Union does drive Jackson's forces back to the Dunkard Church. They get around that area, and then Lee sends the rest of his guys that he can spare from the south up, and they counterattack again and drive the Union out of the field, and they hold that part. So that's the first part of the day. The second part of the day is the Bloody Lane / the Sunken Road. It's just down below where the cornfield is. The Union was advancing down towards, they didn't really know what the Confederate position was. So the Confederates are all in this sunken farm lane that was used to connect the Hagerstown Turnpike over to another major roadway. I don't know if it was the Mummersburg Road or another road, but they used it to avoid paying the tolls back then.
Sure.
But what happened was this, through the use of the wagons, the road got beaten down, so it formed this natural trench in the side of the hill. So you have hills in front of you and you have hills on the back of you. DH which is kind of ironic that his name is D.H. Hill, sends his guy's down into this.
He was made for this.
Yeah, into the sunken road. He's got, a couple thousand guys in this lane, and the Union Army's just coming over these hills. And again, if you've never been to Antietam, it's really hard to describe, but guys can just appear out of nowhere down there because the hills are just so rolling. Like 1 second, there's nobody. Another minute goes by, there's 5,000 guys on top of this hill. So they're marching forward. They show up on the top of this hill, but the Confederates are in such a defensive position down below that the Union doesn't really see them. So they just keep going, and then eventually they get to be like 75 yards away from them. The Confederates stand up and just mow them down. And it's just a slaughtering pen. It's just insane. So they drive them back. More people come. They try to get the Confederates out of the position. They don't come back, do it again, and they do it like all morning. And eventually, the Union does get a chance to flank the Confederate forces on their right flank. So what happens then is now you've turned their position, and now you're able to fire down straight into this row of soldiers. So now the Confederates are in a slaughtering pen, and so the Confederates retreat. They have a mass panic running back towards. I mean, they're just getting shot down. It's just artillery fire, cannon fire again. You just getting mowed down. There was bodies piled 3 bodies high. I think it was a Union officer said that by the end of the battle, blood flowed like a stream through the lane. And that's how it's got the nickname Bloody Lane. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So once that concludes, again, McClellan doesn't send any more of his guys in to just continue this attack. They stop. Longstreet has a chance to return artillery fire, stops the Union advance, and they just kind of are done for the day on that side. Then he's like, okay, well, we tried the left flank, we tried the middle, now we're gonna attack the right flank of the Confederate lines. That's where the Burnside Bridge comes in. Ambrose Burnside was supposed to be taking this bridge and getting his forces across the Antietam Creek all morning, and it's taken until about 10:30 until he actually even starts to get his guys in position to get across the creek. And you've seen Burnside Bridge. I don't know how long it's been since you've been there, but the Union forces are on the eastern side of it, trying to cross the bridge, and across the bridge, there's this huge cliff. Mm-hmm. You got to try to make your way up. And if you've ever been there, it is a steep-ass cliff. So what Robert E. Lee did when he took the Southern forces to help the sunken road, he left about 400 Georgians down there, and they're all sharpshooters, and they're hiding in the trees, and they're just picking Union forces off all morning because they can't return fire because they don't know where they are, for one, and they're up so high that their bullets are just so inaccurate. So they're just laying it into them, and it takes them all morning to cross this bridge. Eventually, 2 or 3 regiments try to go across it. They just get instantly repelled. One of them doesn't even get to the bridge at all. They completely miss. They are way above it. Eventually they do charge the bridge, get across it, and drive the Confederate forces back. And at this point in the battle, this is Robert E. Lee's worst nightmare. The Union forces are gathering on the other side of the bridge. They've taken it. They're amassing this huge assault. They're only a mile or 2 away from the actual town of Sharpsburg. If they take that and get behind the Confederates, they're as good as done. They get up onto, there's you got to go up the cliff through the hill, and then it's just an upward climb up towards the town. And at the last possible second, A.P. Hill, who had marched his guys from Harper's Ferry that morning, it's a 15-mile hike if you would walk it today, comes in like a movie scene. Right as soon as the Confederate line's about to break and end this war altogether, his Confederate forces come in, flank the Union forces, annihilate these dudes in the middle of a field, turn back their flanks, and repulse the Union attack. They have to go back to the Antietam Creek to kind of reorganize and stuff, but McClellan's this isn't even worth it anymore. Let's just end it here, and if they're still there tomorrow, maybe we'll do something about it.
Sure.
So that basically sums up the Battle of Antietam. I know it's a lot of information, but it's basically 3 phases: the cornfield, the sunken road / Bloody Lane, and Burnside Bridge. Again, McClellan, 3 parts of his army. He easily could have just rolled them up, crushed them. War would have ended 3 years sooner, but he didn't, and that's how we have this bloodiest single day in American history. General Hooker's quote was, "Every stalk of corn in the northern and greater part of the field was cut as closely as could have been done with a knife, and the slain lay in rows precisely they had stood in their ranks a few moments before." Just imagine just guys going into a cornfield and just dropping. More guys come in, and they get mowed down, and then more guys come in, and they get mowed down. It's just, it's just absolutely insane.
It just seemed like a lot of senseless killing. It's like a meat grinder, essentially, of
Right.
just carnage.
And I guess to cap this off a little bit with what happens, it ends up being a tactical draw, but it did ultimately achieve the goal that Lincoln wanted, which was driving Lee back into Virginia. So that gave him the opportunity to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, thus freeing the slaves, thus turning the Civil War from a war to save the Union into a war to abolish slavery, and the rest is history as that goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bunch of senseless killing for a battle that essentially ends in a tie.
Do you think then, so then let me ask you this, what are your theories as to why it's so haunted? Do you think Antietam would be less haunted than what it claims it is if there was actually a victor in that battle, or do you think because it was a tie and it was more or less like senseless killing that kind of led to nothing, where it's like a lot of like unresolved trauma and stuff like that?
I don't think that a victory or a tie has anything to do with it, because like Gettysburg's super haunted, and that was a clear Union victory. I think.
Sure. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I think really what it comes down to is there was just so much brutality, so much carnage, and so much violence, all in the span of such a short amount of time.
Just negatively charged.
Yeah,
you know, like,
I mean, like I said, this battle starts at 5 a.m. and ends at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 12 hours of fighting, and 22,000 people are killed, wounded, or missing. And when you're wounded, I mean, that's not necessarily means you're going to die, but I mean, there's still a lot of trauma for a bullet to be removed from you, or a limb taken off, or anything to be dragged. I mean, you're there screaming in pain for who knows how long until somebody's got enough time to come get you.
You know, it's like crazy. Even with like modern medicine, it's still a pretty big deal to get a surgery today, right?
Right.
Like, I think with modern medicine, we tend to think that, oh, okay, we've actually come a really long way, and in some ways we have.
Absolutely.
But
I would say it's more likely. I mean, if you were putting modern surgeries and medicine on a battlefield in the Civil War, I would say probably 90% of the guys that were wounded would have survived.
Oh, yeah.
Just because, you would have been cleaning the instruments. You would have been sanitizing the wounds. You would have been doing modern practices that now we know better. You would have been washing your hands.
Sure, that's crazy. How like surgeons are just going from body to body, like still bloody hands and just like,
bloody hands, bloody saws, bloody this
suturing and oh god, and then like what? Why is the infection spreading? I don't know. Maybe
because we don't understand germs yet.
Yeah. And to think that wasn't that long, like in the grand scheme of humans.
Yeah,
like
like I said, this is the 163rd anniversary of the battle. So, in 163 years, I mean, look at the advances that we've made.
That and like in the grand scheme of like human, like the species, like that was yesterday. It was blink of an eye. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I think it was just the sheer amount of carnage to take place. Yeah, just the pure amount of violence so quickly, I think, has to do with why it's would be such an active haunt zone.
I mean, that definitely checks out. And a lot of the ghost stories and the encounters and things that I've heard about are kind of pretty much the same, not the same, but pretty similar to what you would hear about like with Gettysburg. So people walking, Bloody Lane and smelling gunpowder. So the typical ghost sightings of, Confederate and Union soldiers. I've heard at Gettysburg that there have been instances of people seeing like hospital carts, like people pulling hospital carts and like bodies, like throwing bodies in there. I wonder if the same can be said for Antietam.
I haven't seen anything like that, but I do have a couple of instances of people. I actually reached out to a good friend of mine who is a big Antietam enthusiast, and he's actually had a couple of experiences at Antietam. He and his daughter both. He used to be a volunteer that worked there for a long time. And he was telling me that he went down for the 150th anniversary, I believe he said it was. And he said that he got there at like 5 a.m. He was the first person there. Was just kind of taking in the sunrise because you go on the anniversary, be there while it was like in real time to experience it. I've done that, and it's really like it's heavy and it's eerie in a weird way. I didn't see any paranormal things that day, but It was definitely like a feeling in the air of like, wow, this is like something. But he took a picture of, actually he sent me the picture so I can show you. So he said he was the only person there, and he took a picture of going down the cornfield road, which is right in front of the cornfield, like from the Confederates' perspective going north. He took this picture, and there's like clearly something in the road that's mostly see-through, but it looks like a shape of a person.
That's wild. Yeah, I mean, pretty crazy.
And he also got another picture. This one's a little more grainy, and it was a little. It's like kind of, if you really look at it, you can make out a lot of features, I guess. I'm not particularly one that can distinguish human figures in pictures like this, but he got this one. I believe he said it was on the 4th of July this last year. So he was again in the cornfield. Got a picture of what looks to be a soldier.
I definitely see something there for sure, but I'm trying to see.
It's like you can almost make out like the shoulder and like a little bit of a head and a little bit of, but that's just 2 inches of a picture. But he also said while they were down near the cornfield, he heard like voices, like men screaming in front of them and behind them while they were the only ones there.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I know years ago when blackberries were a thing, my dad, he probably, I don't think he has it anymore, but he was in Gettysburg and he took a picture of near I guess it's a fire tower out in Gettysburg. It's like a huge tower that you can climb up, a metal tower.
There's a couple of them, yeah.
Okay, one of them or whatever. There's a little cabin or something near one. He takes a picture of it, and you can clearly see, kind of like the first photo you showed me, of some dude on, like, it was a cavalry soldier sitting on a horse.
Oh, wow.
Like a ghost horse. Like and it was like clear as day. I mean, it was a little bit blurry and a little bit grainy, but you could easily make out that it was like someone sitting up on a horse.
Right.
And of course, you know, like I doubt he still has that photo today, but like, yeah, it was pretty like wild, bizarre.
Yeah. So another instance that my buddy had, he said that while he was a volunteer there, he was volunteering down at the Bloody Lane, and it was near the end of it was around 7:00 at night. And he said that, so at the Bloody Lane, there's a parking area behind, you know, where the Confederates' position would have been. And there's like kind of a little presentation platform with some markers and stuff that you can read about what happened there. So he said that he was standing up there and he heard voices and murmuring and talking down in the Bloody Lane. So he walks down there to see if anybody has any questions or like if they're, you know, if they need any help finding something. Goes down there and there's nobody there. So he walks back up, hears it again. He's like, okay, well, maybe it's my walkie-talkie. Maybe the walkie-talkie's going off, catching some interference or something like that. So he turns the walkie-talkie off completely, hears it again a couple minutes later, down in the lane, walks around, there's nobody here. He's like, and then at that time, I decided I was going to leave. It's like, yeah. So he's had a lot of experiences. Actually, and then him and his daughter, she sent me this about what they had captured in the cornfield. And I'll give it to you, Nick, to you just hit play. They captured what seems to be 2 completely white figures walking through the cornfield.
Yeah, I see a glimpse of it. It's definitely, yeah, you can see something walking there. It kind of flickers in and out.
What's striking is that it's just pure white. Like there's no
sun. Like it's like during the time of day, it almost looks like it's either early sunrise or sundown.
It's probably sunset, yeah.
So pure white. There's really nothing to reflect.
But like no like
of
articles of clothing, no like just like a white T-shirt. It's just pure white.
Yeah.
Something like there's 2 of them, I think, walking through.
If it ain't ghosts, it's the goddamn Fresno Nightcrawlers.
Yeah, so those were his experiences, but some of the other experiences, his daughter was able to almost kind of experience something that was a very popular kind of ghost story that got passed around. Apparently a group of school kids, they were on an 8th grade field trip, were visiting the Bloody Lane, and the teacher told them to just kind of walk around, take in what they've seen, what they've learned, and then to write about it for an essay. And apparently some of the kids were up by the observation tower, not up in it, but down by it, and they heard what sounded like somebody singing Christmas carols. The teacher was like, "What are you talking about? Like, it can't be Christmas carols make no sense. Where did you get this from?" He's like, finally kind of hit him like, "Oh, I bet they heard Fala Alba, which was clear the way for the Irish Brigade, which would have been charging the Bloody Lane right around that area."
Yeah.
So she said that she has heard it. Many people have said that they've heard it. And it kind of originated with this group of school kids hearing this faint foreign shout coming through.
Yeah.
Pretty cool that I have somebody that could verify that story what they heard.
Yeah,
so like that's kind of cool.
That's pretty wild. Have you ever experienced any?
I haven't experienced anything in Antietam.
I know you said before Gettysburg you've had some stuff good, but not Antietam.
Yeah, I don't get to Antietam as much as I would like to. I don't know why. I guess Gettysburg's just a little more accessible to me. Like it's just right up 15 and I'm there.
Yeah.
Antietam, it's a little bit further away, but there's really like nothing to do.
It really is just
like
fields.
It's the battlefield that every historian pretty much agrees. Like if people from 1862 came back to see the battlefield today, they'd be like, "Oh, I know exactly where I'm at." Like it has not changed at all. Since then. So it's like a pristine. The National Park Service and the American Battlefield Trust have done an incredible job preserving that battlefield.
It looks exactly the same.
Yeah, like it's gone through. Like obviously there were some like gas stations and shit there before, but now that's all been cleared out, and now it looks exactly the way it did. So moving on to the Burnside Bridge, there were reports of, this is kind of one of those things where I don't really buy it because just like the circumstances of it. They're like, when the soldiers were getting killed around the Burnside Bridge before they got across it, they were getting just like hastily buried before they crossed over the bridge. And some speculate that that's stirred up some paranormal activity. People see like blue orbs floating around the Burnside Bridge. They hear drums playing in the distance, or phantom drums nearby. Some report to have heard like hooves from horses or boots like marching across the Burnside Bridge. But the thing that gets me about that kind of, like, I believe that people have heard that kind of stuff. The orbs, my feeling on orbs are just like, they could be so divisive, I guess. And
there's a lot of
ghost hunting
speculation,
I guess.
as to what they could be, and there's so many things.
But my thing with that is like, so the Union takes the Burnside Bridge, and again, they have to get all these guys over to start this next assault, and then they do hold the bridge. Why would they be so hasty in burying their own fallen comrades? Usually this was like, they would assign a detail and they would take very good care of their own troops. Now, if they were Confederate soldiers being killed there and were just like kind of thrown in the creek or thrown, wherever, that I would kind of get.
Sure.
But I don't really buy that the soldiers were buried near the Burnside Bridge and they're still there. Like that, there's no way that they still have soldiers buried near there. And again, it just doesn't, like, you'd have all of the night of September 17th plus the 18th to kind of take care of your own fallen comrades in a more respectful way than just being like, oh, we'll just shove them in a hole. So that one I just don't really buy, but the activity around there, I absolutely could buy it.
I mean, the whole
I don't think where they were buried has any affliction of the paranormal activity that could be going on.
No, I think it's
at
more
the Burnside
about
Bridge.
More the event itself that happened. Like 3 separate battle locations within that area, but all of them kind of form this conglomerate of just supernatural shit.
So as far as on battlefield goes, those are kind of the hot spots: the cornfield, the Sunken Road, and Burnside Bridge. There are a couple of properties around Sharpsburg that were obviously used as field hospitals. The Pry House is one that was used as Union generals stationed there, kind of to relay messages to each other and stuff like that. And then it used as a field hospital. The barn was used as a field hospital for sure. But one of the generals actually ended up being wounded, taken back to the Pry House, and going upstairs and dying in one of the rooms. So there is a lot of reports of people hearing footsteps walking around. This general, apparently his wife had visited him multiple times once she had learned that he had been wounded in battle. So she visited him a bunch of times. So there has been reports of a lady in like a long flowing dress going up and down the stairs. The building actually caught fire at some point, I believe in the 70s. And as the fire crew got there, they actually seen the image of a woman in the second story window looking out at them. And they were like, oh shit, there's a woman in there. We got to get her. And then by the time they got in there, the entire floor had been caved in. So like there was no possible way anybody could be standing up there. And plus no remains or anything were ever found of a woman.
That's freaking wild.
Yeah. So some people think it's the general's wife, but I think I would believe more that it was the original family, the Pryes, because they were forced out of their house. Like they lived there their whole life. And then all of a sudden, 2 Union officers show like, hey, your house has been chosen as the marking point for generals to assemble. We need you to get out of here in the next couple hours. And then you're not even done packing up your clothes yet, and there's 15,000 guys here, waiting to go into battle. So, and then they got buried not too far away, but They came back to the house being completely devastated. The livestock had been butchered. The crops had been taken.
Yeah.
It's an army of 15, 20,000 guys just mowing through this property. And apparently they filed to get like the damages repaid to them by the U.S. government because you could apply for that kind of grant for the war effort. And I think they allotted them like $10,000 10 years later. And then the government was like, actually, we overpaid you. We're going to need 1,500 of that back.
Oh, Jesus
it's
Christ,
like, give me a fucking break, goddamn U.S. government.
That's so shitty. It's like, you may have lost your house, you may have lost your cow, because that's a big deal back in the day. That was like
your entire life.
Your livelihood, yeah. Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah. There's also the Piper Farm that was used for the equivalent, only for the Confederate generals, so they had that as a field hospital. There's same kind of things going on there. Phantom sounds, phantom like horses. There was apparently D.H. Hill was riding this horse, and an artillery shell came in and like completely cut all 4 legs off of this horse while he was still on it.
Oh God!
Yeah, just brutal. So there's apparently like
you just see like 4 butchered legs, just
4 horse hooves just clopping around.
Just clopping around. Like, oh my
where's
God!
The rest of it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, everything that I've seen about it is pretty much what you've described. Yeah. It's all the not stereotypical, but for anybody out there that's
there was the Bloody Lane. There's people that claim they see like Confederate soldiers walking through the lane. Yeah. And then they go to ask like the visitor, hey, what's the reenactment going on out at the Sunken Road today? They're like, we don't have any reenactments here today.
They just like wink and smile and then walk away.
What possibly could you be talking about? But yeah, people claim to see phantom Confederate soldiers walking through the lane.
Just saw a ghost.
Yeah, right. Or same thing goes with the Irish Brigade where they were going to charge the Sunken Road. They see like Union soldiers dressed to like march onto the Sunken Road, but then they go over a hill and they're completely gone.
It's like, who's singing Christmas carols right now? Christmas carols, you say. My friend, it's July.
Why is Billy D. Williams working for the My friend, what could you possibly be talking about?
Just smirking, like winks, and then just walks away. It just like slides off camera.
Like he's a ghost himself.
Yeah.
Of course, use like phantom smells, gunpowder, cigar smoke, stuff like that being reported in and around the cornfield, Bloody Lane. There's a church in Sharpsburg. Any house that stood in 1862 in the vicinity was going to be taken and then used as a field hospital, more or less. So, like, the church was there, so they had, the same situation. You just have hundreds of dudes, thousands of dudes coming back here, getting stuff chopped off of them left and right. And people claim that they see people staring at them through the windows in the church as they walk by, flickering lights in the church going on and off, that kind of thing.
All the stereo, it checks all the boxes as far as,
Oh yeah, for a paranormal hotspot, it's got everything.
Yeah. Do you think more activity happens, or what? Because I'm not familiar with like the ghost, the ghost community between Gettysburg and Antietam. What do you think, in your opinion, gets the most hype as being more of like a paranormal hotspot?
Oh, definitely Gettysburg.
Gettysburg?
Yeah, definitely Gettysburg. I feel like that's just like a known, the ghosts of Gettysburg. Like that's the most iconic Civil War battle.
Okay.
For one, at least I think it is. And again, it was over the course of 3 days. But I feel like the only reason Gettysburg gets the hype that it's more haunted than Antietam is because more people go there to seek it out.
Sure.
Because there's more things to do in Gettysburg.
And that checks out.
You know what I mean? Like you can stay in a hotel in Gettysburg that was there during the Civil War, where it was used as, for instance, the Farnsworth House was used as a Confederate sharpshooter's nest where, this Louisiana Brigade was up in the attic shooting at the Union forces up on Cemetery Hill, and they're taking fire and they're just getting mowed down where they stand. And it's just like, one guy gets shot. One other guy fills the window. He gets shot, is on top of the other guy. Another guy fills it, so on and so forth, until there's like 30 bodies in this attic of just people, dead Confederate soldiers. Like you can stay in that house, and do a ghost hunt. There's nowhere near Antietam that you can really be like,
no,
you can't just camp out on the battlefield,
That'd be crazy. Could you imagine?
That'd be awesome.
Like on awesome. The anniversary, they'd do like a camp out. And you can like chill out there. Oh my God, that'd be cool.
I always wanted to like camp near the
Devil's Den.
Not in Devil's Den, I'm like for Antietam, I would want to camp up at the top. I forget the name of the farm, the Poffenberger farm, I think it is where the Union step off point was to get to the cornfield. It's like that'd be cool to camp there and like wake up at 5 a.m. and get like into the cornfield, like follow the same footsteps as the soldiers on the day that it happens. That I feel like you would probably, if you don't experience something then, I don't know when you would.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
like it'd just be so cool to walk that like path.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing like DH Hills or AP Hills march from Harper's Ferry to get to the battle just in the nick of time to repel that Union advance. Like you can easily do it. I mean, I mapped it out one time like to see like what the hike would be to like Harper's Ferry. You go through and like actually ford the Potomac River to get up and over to it, which that'd be really cool. I'm just a sucker for that kind of shit though. So
no.
It's like, but again, like if you time it right and you like do it at the exact same time that they did it, like on the day that they did it. Like this past year, of course it was raining like a motherfucker all day, so I couldn't get out there, but it was actually like on a Wednesday, the battle was on a Wednesday when it happened, and like all the days just lined up perfectly. It's like, if something was going to happen, that's the one. That's the time it's going to happen.
That would be the day to do it. No, that's awesome.
Yeah. Or like I would imagine, going back to the original conversation of like the reenactment that we seen on the field trip.
Yeah.
I can imagine with, hundreds of guys out there, lots of soldiers or people dressed like soldiers, horses, the roads being paved or not
How
paved.
many of those were actual soldiers?
That's what I'm saying. Like with all that kind of conductive energy and like everybody's thinking about the battle, like I wonder if that could have manifested something.
It could have been possible. Oh, that's good stuff. Like I said, you're like the expert when it comes to...
I hope that I kind of put it in perspective a little bit. I mean, like I said, I'm not a historian by any stretch of the imagination, but I've done a lot of research on the Battle of Antietam. And again, if you're interested, go to battlefields.org. The American Battlefield Trust has some incredible animated maps that really, like, some of these battles are so difficult to understand, and they put it in like layman's terms for just casual people to just be like, okay, I get what's happening here.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
Definitely utilize the resources. Again, if you live in this area and you've never been to Antietam and you're a ghost enthusiast or a paranormal enthusiast, you don't even have to like history. Like, just go out there.
Just go for the paranormal haunts.
And just take it in,
Go for the haunts. Go for the sights. Go for the smells.
Yeah.
Like
I say, there's nothing to do in Antietam, but there's like Nutter's ice creams there. Like, grab an ice cream, grab something to eat. There's like
the winery.
Shepherdstown's right across, so like you can go to Shepherdstown and find something to do.
There's the winery or the meter. Yeah, it's a winery right there in Antietam.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah, there's
Boonesboro's not that far away. It's like, I say there's nothing to do there, but the surrounding area, there's stuff to do.
Yeah, there's plenty. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely just go take it in at sunrise or sunset. I feel like those are going to be the times that where it's the most peaceful. If you're going to look for any hauntings or haunted happenings, that would be the time. That would be the time I'd do it. Like I said, battle started at 5 a.m. Get out there at 5 a.m.
Do it.
Just go to the cornfield and see what you could see.
Quit your job.
Go on battlefield hikes at 5 a.m.
Do it.
Anything to add on this?
No, everything that I kind of looked into was it hit the spot, it hit the nail on the head. All the ghost stories and things like that. The typical, the smells of the gunpowder and stuff. The stereotypical seeing Confederate soldiers and Union soldiers. Those videos you showed were really compelling. So a lot of evidence and stuff out there that kind of suggests that it is haunted.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that these kind of battlefields definitely have some kind of energy to them. It's like we said before, Antietam specifically, the peaceful and the stillness of it, I think lends to it being more haunted than Gettysburg, just for that fact that it's so undisturbed.
Yeah,
Gettysburg, at any moment in the day, you could be surrounded by 30 people or no people, but it's always a constant flow of traffic there. Antietam, when I go there, sometimes I'm the only person that I see the entire day.
Yeah, it's pretty eerie at times. You're the only one by yourself.
Right. So just the fact that it's so what's the word I'm looking for? Unpopulated and so pristine in the way that it's been preserved, I think that it definitely gives itself the title of being potentially the most haunted battlefield.
Yeah. That checks out.
We should get down to Antietam sometime, just walk around, see if we can find anything.
Let's go during spooky season.
I'm down.
Go get a nice cider or a glass of wine from the winery and just walk around right there.
Nice cup of wine.
Yeah, some fresh wine for you, some Cabernet, some Sauvignon Blanc. Oh, this Merlot. Yeah.
Well, this was a little less comedy and a little more spooky, I think. The more history, I guess, than anything today. But
no, it's always good to hear you, talk
just
about
nerd
something
out.
with nerd out and just be passionate. I was like, oh man, this is you in your zone right now. You do you, dude. This is great.
Yeah, I definitely encourage you. Like I said, if you're listening along to this episode while I was describing what's happening during the battle, just look up a map of Antietam. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about. It's hard to explain without a picture or anything. So definitely check out the maps that you can find. Just check out the resources. There's so much fun to learn about history sometimes, in my opinion, because to walk the hallowed grounds and just literally stand where so many people fell at one time is truly a haunting experience within itself, but it's also just really eye-opening that people 160 years ago would sacrifice so much in such a short amount of time for something that they truly believed in. So
Sure.
And with that, I'll get off my soapbox, and you can always find us on social media, Shadows and Sightings on Facebook, Shadows and Sightings Pod on Instagram, or send us an email, shadowsandsightings@gmail.com. Leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. Leave us a comment on there too. I don't know if we have any comments on any of our episodes yet.
I haven't seen anything yet. I've seen a couple likes, couple follows, but I haven't really seen any comments.
Let's go on Spotify and people have comments on their podcast, and I'm like, man, let's get some comments on the podcast. Boost us up in those algorithms.
We'll get there.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of Shadows and Sightings. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we talk about all things spooky.